Imagine walking into a room where everyone is settling for just enough, where the majority is content with average, with ordinary. Now, take a moment and ask yourself, why should you settle there too? Because here's the truth. The life you are living right now is a direct reflection of the standards you've accepted, whether consciously or unconsciously. And if those standards are low, your results will be low. If you want to live in the top 1%, the extraordinary, the exceptional, you have to demand more from yourself than you ever have before. You have to refuse mediocrity in every area of your life, your health, your finances, your relationships, your mindset. You have to raise your standards so high that the world bends just to catch up with you. It's not about luck. It's not about waiting for the right time. It's about deciding here, right now, that you will no longer accept anything less than your ultimate potential. The 1% aren't born special. They're forged by the choices they make, by the habits they refuse to compromise, by the relentless pursuit of excellence that others deem impossible. And today, I want you to step into that possibility. I want you to see that the only thing standing between you and the extraordinary life you dream of is the level of standards you are willing to demand of yourself. The power of standards is one of the most overlooked yet most critical forces that shape the trajectory of your life. Every decision you make, every habit you form, every result you achieve is a direct reflection of the standards you set for yourself. Standards are not simply rules or ideals, they are the invisible boundary lines that dictate what you will accept and what you will refuse. When your standards are low, you settle for mediocrity, compromise, and a life that operates on autopilot. You convince yourself that good enough is enough, and in doing so, you quietly surrender your potential. People often believe that success is about luck, talent, or circumstance, but in reality, those who rise to the top are the ones who refuse to accept anything less than excellence. They understand that raising your standards is not a one-time act, but a continuous commitment to demanding more of yourself in every area of life. To raise your standards, you must first become brutally honest with yourself about where you are now and where you are willing to remain. This honesty is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront the excuses, justifications, and limiting beliefs that have allowed you to live below your true potential. You cannot transform what you are unwilling to face. Once you see clearly the gap between where you are and where you want to be, you can begin to define new standards. Standards that challenge your comfort zone and force growth. Raising your standards is not about doing things perfectly. It is about refusing to accept mediocrity as the baseline. It is about creating rules for yourself that elevate your behavior and decisions, ensuring that you never settle for less than what you are capable of achieving. These new standards shape your identity because your actions and results begin to align with what you demand of yourself. When you insist on excellence, your environment responds, your relationships shift, and your opportunities multiply. People are drawn to those who operate at a higher standard because they exude clarity, confidence, and a sense of purpose that is magnetic. Moreover, high standards are contagious. When you raise your standards, you naturally inspire others around you to elevate their own expectations. Your friends, colleagues, and family members begin to see what is possible and are challenged to step up their game. Raising your standards also cultivates resilience. When mediocrity is no longer an option, failure becomes a teacher rather than a threat. You learn to persist through discomfort, setbacks, and criticism because your standards demand it. You no longer wait for external motivation or validation. The bar you set for yourself becomes the internal engine that drives every decision, every habit, and every action. Ultimately, the power of standards is not just about achieving better results. It is about becoming the person who naturally produces extraordinary outcomes, a person who refuses to compromise, a person whose life is defined not by circumstance, but by the unwavering rules they set for themselves. To join the top 1%, the first step is to transform the way you think, because your mindset determines the boundaries of what is possible in your life. Most people operate from a framework of limitation without even realizing it. They adopt beliefs that keep them comfortable, but those beliefs also keep them trapped in mediocrity. Thinking like the 1% requires a radical shift in perspective, a willingness to see opportunities where others see obstacles, and to embrace challenges as the very fuel for growth. It begins with understanding that your thoughts are not just fleeting ideas. They are the blueprint for your habits, your decisions, and ultimately your results. The 1% don't just stumble into success. They construct it intentionally by cultivating a mindset that refuses to accept the ordinary. This mindset is rooted in possibility, responsibility, and relentless curiosity. Those who operate at this level understand that every limitation they perceive is either real or self-imposed, and they actively question the stories they tell themselves. They replace doubt with certainty, fear with action, and hesitation with commitment. Shifting your mindset is not a passive process. It is a deliberate practice that requires constant attention. You must become aware of the automatic thoughts that influence your choices, the negative patterns that hold you back, and the excuses that feel safe but are quietly destructive. As you replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones, your daily decisions begin to change. You start to see setbacks, not as failures, but as feedback, not as reasons to quit, but as signals to adjust your strategy and push harder. The 1% embrace discomfort because they know that true growth occurs outside the zone of comfort. They make a habit of learning, of asking better questions, and of surrounding themselves with people who challenge and elevate them. Mindset is also about vision, the ability to see yourself in a place that others cannot yet imagine, and then take the necessary steps to make that vision real. It requires a mental rehearsal of success, a daily commitment to visualizing the outcomes you desire while maintaining the discipline to act in alignment with those outcomes. This kind of thinking becomes a filter through which every choice is measured. When your mindset aligns with the standards of the top 1%, your energy changes, your confidence increases, and your capacity for resilience grows. You no longer react passively to circumstances. You proactively design your life according to the principles that guide the highest achievers. It is a mindset that is both unshakable and flexible, capable of weathering setbacks without losing sight of the ultimate goal, and it demands persistence, self-awareness, and courage. The most successful individuals understand that their inner world shapes their outer world, and they invest as much effort in mastering their thoughts as they do in mastering their actions. A powerful mindset transforms not only the results you achieve, but the person you become along the way, creating a momentum that naturally propels you toward the level of success that only a few ever reach. Taking full responsibility for your life is one of the most transformative decisions you can ever make. It is the moment when you stop blaming circumstances, other people, or luck for your current reality and recognize that every result you experience is a direct reflection of the choices you have made. Most people live in a state of partial responsibility, allowing external forces to dictate their happiness, success, and sense of purpose. They wait for the right opportunity, the right timing, or the right conditions to align before taking action. But the truth is that waiting is a trap. To join the top 1%, you must embrace the unshakable principle that you are fully accountable for your life. And that accountability is not about punishment or guilt, it is about empowerment. When you accept total responsibility, you reclaim the power to create, to change, and to influence the trajectory of your life. You stop playing the victim and start playing the creator. This means looking at your results with brutal honesty, examining your habits, choices, and mindset to understand exactly how they have contributed to your current reality. It requires courage to face the truth without excuses, because excuses are a shield that protects you from discomfort, but keeps you trappy. D, in mediocrity. Taking responsibility also means taking ownership of your emotions and reactions. Life will always throw challenges, setbacks, and unexpected circumstances your way, but your response to these events defines the outcome. People who achieve extraordinary success recognize that while they cannot always control what happens to them, they can control how they respond. Every time you react with clarity, focus, and purpose, you reinforce the standard that you are the one steering your life. Accountability is also about consistent action. It is not enough to simply acknowledge responsibility in your mind. You must translate that awareness into daily behaviors that align with your goals. This could mean setting higher standards for your work, cultivating habits that drive growth, or making decisions that prioritize long-term success over short-term comfort. The act of taking responsibility builds confidence because it shifts your mindset from helplessness to mastery. You no longer wait for permission to succeed, you grant it to yourself through deliberate effort and commitment. Furthermore, when you own your results, you learn from failures instead of fearing them. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes an opportunity to adjust, and every challenge becomes a platform for growth. This approach also attracts respect and influence because people recognize individuals who refuse to blame, who stand firm in the face of adversity, and who consistently deliver results. Taking responsibility is not a one-time decision. It is a lifestyle, a continuous practice that permeates every aspect of your life, from your personal relationships to your career to your health. It is the ultimate act of empowerment because it removes the illusion of external control and places the reins squarely in your hands, enabling you to create a life defined not by circumstance, but by conscious choice and deliberate action, a life that reflects the highest level of integrity, discipline, and purpose. Massive action is the bridge between dreams and reality, the catalyst that transforms ideas into results and aspirations into achievements. Many people talk about their goals, plan endlessly, and visualize success, yet they never reach the extraordinary because they failed to act at the level required. Taking small or cautious steps might feel safe, but it will never produce breakthroughs. The 1% understand that extraordinary results demand extraordinary effort, a willingness to push beyond the ordinary, and the courage to act relentlessly even when the path is unclear. Massive action is not just about working harder, it is about working smarter and with unyielding intensity toward your highest priorities. It requires clarity of purpose because every action must be aligned with the vision you are striving to achieve. Without direction, even the most intense activity can become wasted energy. Those who commit to massive action create momentum, and momentum is the fuel that propels you past obstacles, setbacks, and self-doubt. Action at this level is fearless, because it is grounded in the certainty that progress, no matter how incremental at first, compounds over time. It is also consistent, sustained, and unrelenting. It does not fluctuate with motivation, mood, or circumstance. The principle of massive action also demands accountability. When you commit to high-level action, you monitor your results, measure progress, and adjust strategies when necessary, ensuring that every effort contributes meaningfully to the outcomes you desire. This type of action is proactive rather than reactive. It anticipates challenges and seeks opportunities instead of waiting for them to appear. Massive action stretches your limits, forcing growth and adaptation because you are constantly operating at a higher level than you previously thought possible. It develops resilience, determination, and resourcefulness because you encounter obstacles that require creativity and persistence to overcome. Importantly, massive action creates a sense of confidence and empowerment that cannot be attained through planning alone. The act of doing, of moving forward decisively, builds momentum in your mind and body, reinforcing the belief that you are capable of achieving whatever you commit to. It also inspires those around you, as people are naturally drawn to those who act boldly, decisively, and consistently toward their goals. Massive action requires discipline because it demands showing up even when motivation wanes, maintaining focus amid distractions, and sustaining effort over the long term. It is not a sporadic burst of energy, but a committed, ongoing effort that becomes a habit and a lifestyle. The 1% understand that luck and timing favor the prepared and the persistent, and that preparation is meaningless without action. By committing to massive action, you step into the arena where results are born, where growth is accelerated, and where ordinary limitations are shattered. Action compounds, learning accelerates, and the world begins to respond to the force of your effort. Through massive action, possibilities that once seemed distant or impossible begin to materialize, doors open that were previously invisible, and your confidence in your ability to create the life you desire grows exponentially. It is the difference between wishing for success and commanding it, between dreaming and living your potential, between remaining in the crowd and stepping into the top 1% of achievement. Vision and purpose are the engines that drive extraordinary achievement, the invisible forces that give meaning to effort and direction to ambition. Without a clear vision, action becomes scattered, goals become fleeting, and motivation fades when obstacles arise. The top 1% understand that clarity of purpose is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Vision provides a picture of what is possible, a mental blueprint of the life you intend to create, while purpose infuses that vision with meaning, passion, and relentless energy. Together, they act as a compass, guiding decisions, shaping priorities, and ensuring that every action contributes to something larger than momentary gain. Purpose is deeply personal. It is the reason you rise every morning, the fire that propels you through challenges and setbacks, and the standard by which you measure your choices. When your purpose is strong and clearly defined, it transforms obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into lessons. because you are anchored in something greater than circumstance. Vision, on the other hand, stretches your imagination and expands what you believe is possible. It allows you to see beyond limitations, beyond the current reality, and to conceptualize outcomes that others might dismiss as unattainable. The interplay between vision and purpose creates a magnetic force that aligns your thoughts, habits, and actions with the highest version of yourself. People operating at the 1% level use this clarity to prioritize relentlessly. They understand that not all actions are equal, and that time, energy, and focus are finite resources. Every decision is filtered through the lens of whether it serves the larger vision or strengthens the purpose that drives them. This alignment reduces wasted effort, eliminates distraction, and accelerates progress toward meaningful goals. Vision and purpose also cultivate resilience because they give context to hardship and setbacks. When challenges arise, as they inevitably will, having a clear reason for your pursuit allows you to persist when others quit. It transforms pain into motivation, delays into strategy, and failure into feedback. Furthermore, vision and purpose inspire others, creating influence and momentum that extends beyond personal gain. People are drawn to those who operate with clarity and conviction, who pursue goals not for superficial reward, but to fulfill a higher calling. This inspires collaboration, attracts opportunities, and opens doors that might otherwise remain closed. To harness the power of vision and purpose, one must engage in deep self-reflection, clarity exercises, and continual reassessment. Your vision must be vivid and detailed, not vague, and your purpose must resonate at a level that moves you emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. When these elements are fully integrated, they provide the internal fuel to take bold action, the guidance to make difficult decisions with confidence, and the standard against which all other choices are measured. Vision and purpose are not static. They evolve as you grow, adapt, and expand. But their presence is essential to living a life that exceeds ordinary expectations, a life that consistently produces extraordinary results, and a life in which your potential is not just realized, but amplified in every dimension of your being.